wanted to share a TED Talk by Dan Pink, who is a person who did a study on what motivates people. So it's a good time to think about, what do you think motivates people to do things and why, right? So for us, we think it's the carrot or the stick, right? So that's the traditional thinking. Like if I give more money to my employees, if I make more, if I'm giving monetary incentives, they'll do better, they'll work harder, they'll work longer. On the flip side, if they don't do what I say, and I punish them, they're going to do more, I guess, right? There's that school of thinking. But Dan Pink has done studies to show that that's not necessarily true. And I want to tell you a little bit more about how Event Hawk has grown to 30 people and how the thinking that Dan Pink has kind of goes along with what Tariq has discovered, which I think that's Tariq coming in. So the power of motivation. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of this TED Talk, and then we can talk about it a little bit. It was really super informative when I watched it, but feel free to pause it, ask me to pause or stop whenever you want. All right. So here we are. Let me back it up here. There we go. Okay. And we're muted. And there we go.
I need to make a confession at the outset here. A little over 20 years ago, I did something.
Can you guys hear it?
I regret.
Yeah.
Something that I'm not particularly proud of. Something that in many ways I wish no one would ever know, but that here I feel kind of obliged to reveal. In the late 1980s, in a moment of youthful indiscretion, I went to law school. Now, in America, law is a professional degree. You get your university degree, then you go on to law school. And when I got to law school, I didn't do very well. To put it mildly, I didn't do very well. I, in fact, graduated in the part of my law school class that made the top 90% possible. Thank you. I never practiced law a day in my life. I pretty much wasn't allowed to. But today, against my better judgment, against the advice of my own wife, I want to try to dust off some of those legal skills, what's left of those legal skills. I don't want to tell you a story. I want to make a case. I want to make a hard-headed, evidence-based, dare I say lawyerly case for rethinking how we run our businesses. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, take a look at this. This is called the candle problem. Some of you might have seen this before. It's created in 1945 by a psychologist named Carl Duncker. Carl Duncker created this experiment that's used in a whole variety of experiments in behavioral science. And here's how it works. Suppose I'm the experimenter. I bring you into a room. I give you a candle, some thumbtacks, and some matches. And I say to you, your job is to attach the candle to the wall so the wax doesn't drip onto the table. Now, what would you do? Many people begin trying to thumbtack the candle to the wall. Doesn't work. Some people, and I saw somebody kind of make the motion over here, some people have a great idea where they light the match, melt the side of the candle, try to adhere it to the wall. It's an awesome idea, doesn't work. And eventually, after 5 or 10 minutes, most people figure out the solution, which you can see here. The key is to overcome what's called functional fixedness. You look at that box and you see it only as a receptacle for the tacks, but it can also have this other function as a platform for the candle. Candle problem. Now, I want to tell you about an experiment using the candle problem done by a scientist named Sam Glucksberg, who's now at Princeton University in the US. This shows the power of incentives. Here's what he did. He gathered his participants and he said, I'm going to time you how quickly you can solve this problem. To one group, he said, I'm going to time you to establish norms, averages for how long it typically takes someone to solve this sort of problem. To the second group, he offered rewards. He said, if you're in the top 25% of the fastest times, you get $5. If you're the fastest of everyone we're testing here today, you get $20. Okay, now this is several years ago, adjusted for inflation. It's a decent sum of money for a few minutes of work. Okay, it's a nice motivator. Question, how much faster did this group solve the problem? Answer, it took them on average 3.5 minutes longer. 3.5 minutes longer. Now this makes no sense, right? I mean, I'm an American, I believe in free markets. That's not how it's supposed to work, right? If you want people to perform better, you reward them, right? Bonuses, commissions, their own reality show, incentivize them. That's how business works, but that's not happening here. You've got an incentive designed to sharpen thinking and accelerate creativity, and it does just the opposite. It dulls thinking and blocks creativity. And what's interesting about this experiment is that it's not an aberration. This has been replicated over and over and over again for nearly 40 years. These contingent motivators. If you do this, then you get that, work in some circumstances, but for a lot of tasks, they actually either don't work or often they do harm. This is one of the most robust findings in social science and also one of the most ignored. I spent the last couple of years looking at the science of human motivation, particularly the dynamics of extrinsic motivators and intrinsic motivators. And I'm telling you, it's not even close. If you look at the science, there is a mismatch between what science knows and what business does. And what's alarming here is that our business operating system, think of the set of assumptions and protocols beneath our businesses, how we motivate people, how we apply our human resources. It's built entirely around these extrinsic motivators, around carrots and sticks. That's actually fine for many kinds of 20th century tasks. But for 21st century tasks, that mechanistic reward and punishment approach doesn't work, often doesn't work, and often does harm. Let me show you what I mean. So Glucksberg did another experiment similar to this, where he presented the problem in a slightly different way, like this up here. Okay? Attach the candle to the wall so the wax doesn't drip onto the table. Same deal. You were timing for norms. You were incentivizing. What happened this time? This time, the incentivized group kicked the other group's butt. Why? Because when the tacks are out of the box, it's pretty easy, isn't it? If-then rewards work really well for those sorts of tasks, where there's a simple set of rules and a clear destination to go to. Rewards, by their very nature, narrow our focus, concentrate the mind. That's why they work in so many cases. And so for tasks like this, a narrowed focus where you just see the goal right there, zoom straight ahead to it, they work really well. But for the real candle problem, you don't want to be looking like this. The solution's not over here. The solution's on the periphery. You want to be looking around. That reward actually narrows our focus and restricts our possibility. Let me tell you why this is so important. In Western Europe, in many parts of Asia, in North America, in Australia, white-collar workers are doing less of this kind of work and more of this kind of work. That routine, rule-based, left-brain work, certain kinds of accounting, certain kinds of financial analysis, certain kinds of computer programming has become fairly easy to outsource, fairly easy to automate. Software can do it faster. Low-cost providers around the world can do it cheaper. So what really matters are the more right-brain, creative, conceptual kinds of abilities. Think about your own work. Think about your own work. Are the problems that you face, or even the problems we've been talking about here, are those kinds of problems, do they have a clear set of rules and a single solution? No, the rules are mystifying. The solution, if it exists at all, is surprising and non-obvious. Everybody in this room is dealing with their own version of the candle problem. And for candle problems of any kind, in any field, those if-then rewards, the things around which we've built so many of our businesses, don't work. Now, I mean, it makes me crazy. And this is not, here's the thing, this is not a feeling. Okay, I'm a lawyer, I don't believe in feelings. This is not a philosophy. I'm an American. I don't believe in philosophy. This is a fact.
Okay. All right. I just want to pause it there because we're about 8 minutes or so in. I've had a couple of more people join. So before I go any further, I love this video. I think it's great. He's funny. His name is Dan. But he is talking about something that I love when it comes to motivation. And that's the fact that so many of us think that if we just give people things, then they're going to do more for us. They're going to think better. They're going to focus more. And when it comes to motivation, that's just it's not true, right? The fact is we're motivated by something bigger than ourselves, something within us that gives us that reason, that intrinsic motivation for doing things, right? So when it comes to our businesses here, you know, how are you motivated personally, or how are you motivating the people who work for you to do the tasks that are necessary for your business?
So this is my first time doing, obviously, the inflatables, but I've got a full-time guy that does all of my other businesses, Christmas lights and power washing and whatnot. And one thing I've done that seems to work well with him, and it also works well with me, is that I kind of find the things that he's good at, and I really encourage him to keep doing those things. And I worry less about the things that maybe he's not so good at, and I try to focus on filling those gaps for the people that might fit the puzzle better. So I also do a lot of praise, which kind of helps, and I appreciate that myself. So that's kind of what I do so far, but I've only got one guy, so like I don't have a whole lot of experience with that otherwise.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kaleb. That's great. What about you, Kathi? What keeps you motivated?
What keeps me motivated? I have 11 grandchildren.
Love it. Love it. Oh, that's it. That's the end of story. I love it.
Short.
Love it. 11 grandchildren. And so you have, you know, an external reason, because you have grandchildren who are looking up to you, you're setting an example for them, but also intrinsically in the fact that, you know, you are that person that they look to, you know, like your success is their success as well, right?
Yes, and I also have 3 children that are, all 3 of them are very successful in where they're at right now in their lives, which is excellent. And we all have multiple jobs. So, I mean, besides having the inflatable business, I have a ski business, as well as I'm studying my real estate license, as well as I'm a host for exchange student, or not a host, but a local representative that look over host families for exchange students. And so motivation is just anything that gets me up in the next morning and to fulfill the day.
Love it. Also, yeah, that's really great. And Kathi, do you have employees that you work with?
We do, both with the ski business and with the jumper business. I want more in my jumper business, obviously, because it's just my husband. But we just hired a high school student. Last year it was my son-in-law and well, both son-in-laws. And then at the ski business, I have 7 employees.
Wow. Okay. And then so you have your children and your grandchildren very successful. How do you keep your ski business employees, your high school student, how do you keep them motivated?
One thing is to check in time to time. I do know with the younger generation, it's almost like you have to do instant praises quite a bit. So weekly meetings seems to seem to work pretty well, as well as the ones that are on social media that I praise them on social media when things are good. The ones that are not on social media, I end up sending them text messages and with a lot of emojis.
Look at you.
In regards to just certain things that will stick out. I mean, you kind of get to know your employees pretty much. So if you see one that's been struggling, and for like simple as getting there on time,
Yep.
as soon as they got there on time, immediately send over going, oh my gosh, thank goodness you're here. You're what we needed today. But you just keep coming up with different things, and you send messages to them, or you speak to them face to face. If they have a big sale, that is awesome. Or if you look how they reacted to a little child that came up to them as they were setting up a bouncer, and that they gave that child the attention at the same time working. But little kids like to know what you're doing, and they also like to tell you things, that there was a flood in their basement, or that daddy had the heart surgery, or they just kind of go, they just tell you everything when they're 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. So you just kind of acknowledge, and when you see an employee acknowledge a child, it's good to also reward them. If there's an additional tip that comes in that the driver or the employee doesn't even see, it comes through the back door, to immediately present and state, hey, you did an awesome job 3 weeks ago on this, and this just came in for you, blah, 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 blah. At least that's my experience.
Love it. Thank you so much, Kathi. That was a lot. I love that. She's like, I want to keep it short. That was perfectly short, summarized, and fantastic. So thank you for sharing that. And great. Awesome. I'm super excited for all your business ventures. That's amazing. Yeah, go ahead, Kaleb. Are you raising your hand?
It was actually, I just remembered in a team training at my regular job, the manager was talking about a book called All In by a gentleman named Mike, and I think it's McAllowitz is the last name. And he talked about in that book a thing called POMS, POMS, which stands for Personal Operating Manuals. And what it is, it's like a series of small questions that you give to your team, and then the team can answer all the questions, and then they give it back to you. And what that does is it gives you some of the questions are like, how do you like to be rewarded? How do you like to be? Do you like to be acknowledged publicly, or do you prefer, do you prefer quiet praise? Do you not like being called out in public or in front of meetings? Would you rather just get a gift card? Or how do you like to communicate? Do you like to talk on the phone, or do you like to text, or would you prefer to email? Or it kind of goes over all the different things to help create a better atmosphere between you and your team. And it also helps your team communicate better together too, because you know how everybody likes to basically do anything, whether it's be acknowledged, or how they like to communicate, or how they like to do tasks or anything like that. I don't know a whole lot about it. I actually got to read that book next, but I just remember that, and it was kind of on topic with what we're talking about here. It's kind of unique. We're actually doing it ourselves now, so I'll be implementing it in mine once I read the book.
There we go. I love it. And that's an affirmation of what you and Kathi are actually already doing. So that's even better. You're already implementing those things that are going to help you be successful with that. So that's great. I love that. So I have definitely, if you want to raise your hand, I'm fine with that. There we go. So Zoelle actually works at Bounce My House with Tariq in Chicago. And her pets, that was my thing before everybody got her pets. She has a couple of snakes, so she's kind of a wild card here. So I love that she's here to talk about some motivation and give us some good ideas. What do you got?
Yeah. So I am the office manager with Tariq. And honestly, The biggest thing that I've taken away since I've started to work with Event Hawk and Bounce My House is just having a team of people that you can actually tell truly care about you and your work ethic and everything you do. Um, like Tariq is very good about, and so is Amanda, about giving me praise, just like you guys were saying, like giving me praise for anything great that I did. But they're also really good with constructive criticism. You did this really great. However, maybe we can work on this instead. And I personally love constructive criticism. I feel like it really does help me grow to be a better person, a better worker. But overall, again, it's been having people that truly care about you, because I just came from working with a company for 3 years that I loved. I really loved working there, but unfortunately, um, I wasn't compensated verbally, financially, like all these things. And I knew I was a hard worker. I knew I was good at what I was doing. Um, I knew I was almost the best at what I was doing with that company. And to not feel compensated or appreciated for all the hard work that I was doing, that honestly made me over a long period of time, not the best worker with them, because I didn't feel like, again, my hard work was going noticed. It wasn't appreciated. So it was really hard to have motivation to do more, to do all this extra work that I was doing without the compensation. So again, truly for me, the biggest thing I've taken away has been being with people that actually care about who you are, care about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And again, having that praise. I did my first sales call today, and Tariq was in the other room just listening in. And by the end of it, he opened the door and he went, "So wow, that was amazing. You killed it." And it was just like that instant gratification of something that I was super duper nervous to do. And him just immediately verbally praising me and telling me all the good things that I did. So really, it's being with people and working for people that care about you. I was sick last week, and I was so nervous to be sick. I just started with the company a couple weeks ago. So, and Tariq immediately was like, take the day off or work from home. Like he was very considerate of what I was going through, even though I didn't ask. And that's something I've never experienced with any company. Anytime I've needed time off, it's always been an issue of some sort. So again, I'll say it a million times over, having people that care about me has been a huge motivator to do more, to be a better worker, and just to be a better person overall. So for me, internally, that's been huge.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing so well. That's really sweet.
Of course. Or you guys are seriously amazing. Not just saying it, I mean it with all my heart.
That's so nice. I love it. I'm so like I'm humbled by the fact that words have so much power. And coming from a teaching background, I taught for 13 years, and the same ways that I motivate, the same things that I do for people I work with, I did for my kids, my students. And I loved each and every one of them. The tough cases, the ones that didn't show up to school on time, the ones that didn't do their homework when they were supposed to. And so I know you can probably list out all the things that the people you work with, like they forgot the stakes, they didn't do what they were supposed to, the blower shorted, like you didn't have the backup. But what really matters is the people that we work with, right? The people that are part of what makes us successful. And I think it's easy to say, well, I'm paying them for a job, so they should just do it and do it to my standards. And that's fair, like you're a business, you're not like, this is not my family necessarily. A lot of people work with their families, which can be a whole bucket of worms, but definitely it's taking the time to get to know your people, what motivates them, and then that's going to lead to your solutions to some of the problems, that those little tiny nitpicky problems, because what it's going to do is instill values that you can actually use. So the values you see behind Zoelle and I have made a huge difference in our team. So obviously we need to be compensated fairly, right? I'm not saying like don't pay your people what they're worth. But when it comes to incentivizing them to do not just the work, but do it well, to go above and beyond. Establishing core values can really help elevate your business. And when your new hire comes in, even your high school students can master core values to an amazing level, right? Because they're so open, they're so receptive. I actually prefer younger people, working with younger people sometimes, to people who are set in their ways and like, this is the way they do things. And, like that can be a challenge. But younger people, and I know I see complaints on our Facebook groups all the time, like, I can't get my people to show up. I can't get them to put in the work. It's hard work that you're asking them to do on the weekends, and, they want to do other things. So how is it that we keep good help and we make sure that they feel appreciated, supported? We can give them constructive criticism when they're not doing the things that we want them to do. And that's the beauty of motivation, right? And understanding what motivates people. And money can be an incentive, and that's why everyone goes for that, especially in the business world. But is it the best one? Is it the one that we're going to be able to retain? Because some of you pay your employees really well. Like, you're like, I'm going to give you like all this money, like just show up, just take my slide to where it's supposed to go. Just make sure you communicate with the customer in a way that I would want to represent my business when I'm not there. And yet, even with that money, like, we're still complaining about employees not doing what we're what we're asking them to do, right? Oh yeah. Okay, so I said my little piece there. So anybody who hasn't spoken up, Shakira, John, iPhone 14, fancy. Anybody else want to share their views on motivation, how you motivate yourself or your employees? I'm a little scared.
I just want to jump in real quick. Also, you want to check in with your employees. So you get to a point where all of a sudden you hear whining. So it's good to check in with them, and then you just flat out, to open up the iceberg, you just state, what was your biggest failure this week? And then you say, okay, what was your biggest success this week? What do you think, what do you need from me? What can we help you with? You could do this one-on-one, you could do this in a team meeting, whatnot, but it's okay to have failures and actually be successful at your failure. Like not bringing the steaks or making a double trip out like over 3 hours long. Things in that nature. What can we do different next time? What should we, is there something that, should we have like a checklist? Would that help? Are you a visual person, or should I send a picture of everything the night before? Or things in that nature. You bring up, it's communication. Studies shown so much that it's just regards to communication. You could tell them they're getting $100 per pickup and drop off. You can tell them you're getting $2 per pickup. But if you don't have the communication, then you won't have the motivation.
Ooh, put that on a bumper sticker right now. I love it. Nice. All right. I think Zoelle, you had something to piggyback off of that. I love that.
Yeah. I just wanted to 100% agree with Kathi, because that's something that Tariq very much makes a point to do. Every week we have a one-on-one session. And the first thing we talk about every single time, what was your professional win from the past week, and what was your personal win from the past week? And then from there, it just kind of snowballs. But doing those weekly check-ins together has been, very important to me. It helps make sure that both myself and him are on track with maybe some things that we're a little bit behind on. Okay, how can we help each other? What are we feeling overwhelmed with? Like, I remember, I think it was my second week in, And that's when I had one day where it just all hit me at once and I was super overwhelmed. And Tariq noticed and he was like, "What's going on? You seem overwhelmed." And I was like, I am very overwhelmed. And for the first time in my life, he sat down with me and he went, "Okay, let's work on this together." And he helped me create like time blocks in my Google Calendar. And something so simple to someone else was super important to me because that like changed my world. That helped me stay organized throughout my day between the million different tasks and responsibilities that I have. So I 100% agree with Kathi. Like those weekly check-ins and that communication is key, like key 100%. That's all I had.
Go ahead, Caleb. Love it, Zoelle. Thank you.
So to kind of piggyback on both of those, one thing that we do is instead of calling them failures or anything like that, we refer to them as 1% improvements. And basically, what that means is if we have a debrief at the end of the day, we'll start off with, "Hey, do you have any 1% improvements for me?" And that gives them an opportunity to give you any feedback, small feedback, because it's just 1%. And the same goes with them if they have anything that they need to work on in regards to constructive criticism. We refer to it as a 1% improvement because 1% improvement, like when you hear it, isn't a big deal, right? So like people aren't going to take what you say and then freak out and be like, "Oh, they think I'm the worst person in the world," or anything like that. It's just 1%. So they're usually small little things. But every day, if you have a 1% improvement, then after a whole year, you've got quite a bit of improvement. So that's just the terminology. 1% improvement might make a big difference in your conversations with your team. That's another thing too, is we don't refer to them as employees, we refer to them as a team because we all work together for the same mission, and it kind of creates an even playing field with your people, because without your people, then it's just you and it's not really fun that way. So it's best to just refer to everybody as a team, and nobody feels like you're an employee and I'm the boss. We don't do that. So that's it, I guess.
I love it. Caleb came in here and he was like, "I just want to listen." And here he is dropping all this knowledge on us. Thank you so much for doing that.
No
Caleb.
problem.
It's really great. I love it. I love it. Fantastic. So I'd love to hear from one of my other people here, John. John, what do you think about motivation? Tell us your personal or your professional wins from the past week. We'd love to hear it.
For me, for motivation one, basically, you looked at some of them asked about the wages and everything else, and I basically said the wages is $12, but I'm encouraged to give you 15, give them a bug from there, and that motivated them even more so from there. And then not only that, some that were not too sure how to pack, how to stack for the next previous day, I got established. It's like a packing list that they can go down that list in the storage room to make sure they have everything from there. And I always say take about one or two extra just in case one break that you be going on with. And then not only that, to motivate them even more so, I always told them the one that with the most good reviews that come from the customers, right? I would give them an additional $20 for a good, excellent review. So they out there doing what they do best to get things accomplished from there. Like you say, sometimes finance, money motivate them to push them even more from there. And then not only that, I even tell some, if the day that you don't come, and I know you did an outstanding work for whatever personal reason, from there, it's just idea I will have a gift for you when you come back, just in case. All depends on what situation you in from there, because normally I stock up a bunch of stuff and I just say, okay, wrap this up as a gift and we good from there. Yeah, but that's the way I actually keep them all encouraged. Say, hey, yeah, we can do this here, no matter what type of weather situation we're in.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that, John, because I think the point that Dave Pink, if you weren't here for that, the point that he makes with the candle box problem is that for things that are very clear. You've got your packing list, and you can incentivize the people you work with to follow that packing list and do it right and do it every time. And that can be very, very effective for that specific type of work. If you lay it out, the goals are clear, you know, that's the kind of motivation. And if it's working for you and your team, that's fantastic. I love your gift thing. I did the same thing with high school students. I literally said, I will give you a sticker, you know, for some things, and they go crazy for stickers. It's, who knew? I was like, elementary, I don't get, you know, so like just having that little thing that thinks that you show that you care, that you're thinking about them, that you're seeing the good work that they're doing, and you're giving them something, even if it's trivial, like something that's, you know, you think they wouldn't care about, like it shows that you do, right? So that's really, really great. And then, so John, do you have issues with your team like showing up late or not doing things the way that you like, or have you had really good success with who you've worked with?
No, I've been having it pretty good. I haven't had some of them show up late. I had one that didn't show up at all, that which the team we pulled together to make sure it was very successful on that. And to actually talk with the individual that didn't show up or didn't call, eventually I reached out to them and let them know, said, wait a minute, what happened? Rather than just jump down the throat, I at least let them explain what happened from there. And then they told me, you know, whatever little deal it was. I said, okay, all right, let me know in advance so that we can cover you, rather than me get all upset and hot temper from there. And ever since then, I never had a problem with the person who was always on time.
Love it. Oh my gosh, that's so great. I am loving these like real world examples, because again, same thing with high school students, exact same thing. I have a problem student, an issue, like this kid just won't do what he's supposed to do. And he's expecting me to yell at him. He's expecting me to jump down his throat, to give him a detention, to send him to the principal's office. And you sit down and you say, hey, how you doing? Let's talk about what's going on with you. Let's get down to the bottom of the problem. And that student becomes, you know, a model student, right? He will do anything for you because you show that respect. You take the time to get to know them. And it makes a world of difference, I guess, not just for high school students, but apparently in our teams as well. So that's really fantastic. Love it. I see Dana just joined us. So Dana, we're talking about motivation, how you motivate the people you work with, and how you're motivated. Want to jump in? I love it. Trying to stay sneaking in the back of the classroom late as you get called out. Oh, technical difficulties. Okay, no worries. No worries. I can circle back to you. I like it. Yeah, definitely. We'll circle back. How about you, Shakira? Shakira. Oh boy, where is it? There it is. There it is. Okay, I was gonna say dog ate my homework. I have to go to the bathroom. What is it?
Hi, how are you?
Awesome. Love it. What do you think?
Well, right now, we're just starting out. This is like our second year. So I'm kind of just taking everything in. We don't really have employees. We have our sons working for us. So it's good listening to people who actually have employees, and then, you know, trying to separate the difference between kids and try to get them prepared for the real world. So I'm just kind of, you know, just taking everything in at this point.
I love it, Shakira, and congratulations for going into your second year. That's really exciting. So good for you.
Thank you so
I love it. And so how do you stay motivated your second year, you personally, to keep going?
Well, me personally, okay, I'm a teacher also, right? And right now I'm in preschool, so the hours are kind of better. I'm coming from middle school. So I just don't want to, my personal motivation, I just don't want to work for the rest of my life. Like, I don't want to have to go into, like hold a 9 to 5. Like, I know it actually owning a business, you do have to still put in footwork even when you are established, no matter what. But I just kind of want a business to where as though I don't have to report there every single day, and just of the stress when I'm actually like retired. So just kind of like hand it off. That's my motivation right now. I just don't want to be working a 9 to 5 for forever.
I love that. I think that resonates with a lot of us here. Like we have a lot of people who want to run their businesses, want to do how they want to do it, work their own hours. And I want to say what a great motivation. Your son's also working with you, so they're seeing what you're doing. And,
Mhm.
and that's a huge accomplishment to have your family with you and like supporting you all the way, right? That's
Yes.
really
Yeah.
awesome.
Mhm.
I love it. And also kudos to you for preschool and middle school. They're like the most terrifying ages I can possibly imagine. So thank you for doing
Yeah.
that.
But I can really relate to you saying like, the whole world is about teaching and learning no matter what age you are. So I was just taking some of your advice, like, yeah, you kind of do apply it to, when you're teaching kids, because everybody loves praise, everybody loves motivation, doesn't matter what age you are. You have to remember that.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing that, Shakira. That's really awesome. And hopefully we'll do more these roundtables Tuesday nights at 7, so you can get more information, different topics that we talk about, and love getting all the different perspectives. So really fun.
Okay.
Love
Thanks
it.
so.
All right. How about you, Kevin? Kevin, what do you think about it? Motivation, personal, professional wins. I'll take that. And I also have Dana waiting in the wings here, so let's circle back here. He's trying. I feel the energy here.
Okay, no. Well,
There
I'm
we
just,
go.
okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. No, I'm just listening now. I just got in late, but y'all can keep going on so I can get some more information. And I'll be here you say every Tuesday at 7?
Yeah, every Tuesday at 7, we have different topics. Tonight's about motivation, but next week we're going to start diving into some of those templates, those really fun, awesome templates that Tariq has put together. So we'll take a look at some of the things that he has and actually break it down and kind of do little workshops with that to benefit our business a little bit. So it can be overwhelming to have too much information all at once. So
Yeah, I can understand. I need it because I'm just starting. I have like 5 units, and and then I had to get something done to my shoulder, but I'm doing it to like have something to do in retirement.
Ooh, there you go. You like to
You
stay
know,
busy?
huh?
You like to stay busy then, huh?
Yeah, yeah, especially if it's profitable.
Well, for sure. That's an added bonus
Well,
for sure.
yeah. Right. With my enthusiasm and determination, I don't see where it wouldn't be profitable. But I'm not. I'm still learning about this whole system.
Love it. That's really great. So definitely on these calls, we love to get questions out there and things like that. So that's what this is for, is to kind of be able to ask questions to the community and get answers. So yeah, anytime. That's really great. And I love that Kevin's doing the retirement thing and Shakira is trying to get to that point where she's making those decisions for herself, right? So that's
Yeah,
really
I
cool.
think. But let me ask you something. What is the different rates you're getting on insurance in this?
I love that. Like, I love that because that's a question that pops up a lot in the Facebook groups. So
Yeah.
the
Okay.
thing is, it comes up a lot with a lot of different responses depending on where you're located. So where are you located, Kevin?
I'm in Iowa.
Oh, okay. All right. My old neck of the woods. I was a Kansas person. So
Oh, okay, Midwest. Okay.
yep, Midwest once upon a time. So what you're going to find, Kevin, and I can definitely get you some resources here, but your insurance rates are going to be very different depending on where you're located and to what extent you have. So you only have 5 units. If you had a mechanical bull, I would say be careful. Your insurance is going to go way, way, way up because for some reason that is super dangerous for insurance reasons.
Okay.
So, so if you're thinking about that.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I was thinking about getting one of them, but I heard it through the grapevine that the insurance is high on that.
It is, unfortunately, it's very high. I do know several people. I'm thinking about one in particular who I love. He's a great guy, but he's got a couple of mechanical bulls. So, but his insurance like is sky high, and it's because it's determined by that, by the risk, obviously.
Okay, what do you call sky high? Give me some numbers. I need some numbers to compare with the insurance I'm trying to get here.
Anybody want to chime in on what they're paying for insurance right now? I could see Kaleb and Kathi are thinking about what they pay right now.
Well, mine's just different because mine's a Christmas light company, an event light, and then I do the inflatable nightclub on the side. So it's not a bounce house. That was a big question they asked me when I was getting insurance for it. So my insurance $1,500 a year, but that's for $2 or $3 million liability, but it's not for bounce house. If it's a bounce house, they said that's a whole different ballpark. So I've seen a lot of people say different quotes on the Facebook comments and stuff. Some are 3,000, 4,000, depending on the insurance companies they used or how many units they had or what their intentions or where their locations are. So it's really kind of hard to give a ballpark, but I'd say anywhere between $2,000 to $5,000 that I would imagine.
At least.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thanks for that because I've been getting it in that range. It's been like wow. It's been like anywhere up the highest I got is 6,000 or something, and that's for 10 units. If you have 10 units or you have 20 units.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So that was real. That was real. You know, because then I was told 2,000. But come to find out, it wasn't $4 million worth of insurance. You know what I'm saying? It was for what, 300,000 or something like that.
Right. Absolutely. Well, that's a really great question, Kevin. And definitely one of these roundtables, I'm going to specifically find an industry professional. So in insurance, you can come and talk to us a little bit more about like why the insurance rates go up high, like why are we paying so much, like what is it, and give us more information. So definitely be on the lookout for that topic that's going to come up at some point, because I know that's a hot topic. And that brings me to kind of our close here. I love bringing you guys topics that you are interested in. So if you're interested in talking about something, like I want to bring it to a roundtable, I want to make sure we have someone prepared, ready to go. So if that's something that you are interested in, then Kevin, you can put it in the chat right now. I'm actually going to give you guys my TED Talk. Obviously, it's an 18-minute TED Talk. We only watched about 8 minutes of it, but it is fabulous. It's fantastic for talking about motivation and like the science behind it. It kind of affirms exactly what was said here tonight, actually, which is great. I want to say John specifically with his increasing pay, like he's seeing like that makes a lot of sense for his people with his checklist. He has set goals that motivates them. He gives them incentives for doing reviews. So it really goes with that. I love Kaleb's 1% improvements because that gives you an opportunity to do constructive criticism in a way that's valuable, that motivates instead of like, ooh, I don't want to do anything for fear of, making a mistake. Zoelle brought us really great information about having a team that cares. Just showing that you care, having weekly meetings, doing those check-ins. Both Kathi and Zoelle brought in both of those. Like that is how you get your people to work, but not just work, but be a part of a team. And like that's a way to motivate. And then Kaleb, I love the direct praise as well. And Zoelle echoed that as well. Like when you see one of your people doing something that they're supposed to do, directly praising them, giving them a note, or even text messaging. I love the text messaging and social media. Like that's really cool. Like I used to do sticky notes, like just as I'm going by, like, hey, I really like that you did that. So it's a silent way of praising, and it means a lot. And it doesn't really take as much time as you would think, right? Like, oh, I have, so many employees. How am I ever going to, directly praise them? It really, once you get in the habit of it, it makes your life a lot easier. What else did we say? Oh, I really liked the Palms, the book that Kaleb mentioned, All In. That's another valuable resource if you can get a hold of All In. I think that sounds like a really good idea for the book there. Palms, he mentioned Palms, personal operating manuals. I think that's really awesome. And then Shakira brought in, and also Kevin, they're just sort of starting out, so they're just getting the information here. But finding the incentive, like for yourself, to keep going. I think it gets hard when that you're staring down the barrel of five rentals on Saturday. Like, yes, for the revenue, but how much is my back, my shoulder, like how much pain am I suffering? For what am I getting out of it? And so really reaching internally and saying, like, this is the reason I'm here. I'm here for my grandchildren. I'm here so I don't have to work so hard in the future. I'm here because I love it. That can really help with your motivation, right? And that's the whole goal, is being able to find that for yourself and help your team discover that as well. And thank you so much, Kaleb. He's got that Mike Michalowicz, awesome, with personal operating manuals. So definitely, if you can get a hold of that, that would be great. I'd love to hear more about that book. Actually, I'm going to put it on my own reading list. That's really great. So with that, let's go ahead and snap a quick picture, if you wouldn't mind. Before we go, I'd love to take a picture. This has been really fun. Thank you guys for making it fun. And I know it's not always the best, like my favorite thing to talk on camera, but you guys all did an awesome job. So I called you out, you spoke up, and here we are, right? All right, so I'm gonna go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yay, awesome. All right, well, just under the hour. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Hopefully I'll see you guys next Tuesday to talk about a template that I love. It's a pricing guide. Am I competitive in my prices? Am I not? We're going to work on that together and hopefully have a really productive conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Amanda.
Bye.
That was cool.